Now, we said this before and it's worth repeating every time. God does not need our money. Jesus teaches in the Gospel of Luke that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, that there's this invisible tether between money and heart. And so God is interested in our hearts. And so if our money has a lot of power over us, where we use our money and how we use our money and how we think about money is a huge indicator. It's one of the real world tests of what we truly believe. I mean, if you tell someone you love them and you're committed to them and you're loyal to them and you're faithful to them, but you're never generous towards them, you don't share with them, you don't give towards them, do you actually love them? Do you actually care about them? That's not the nature of true love, of true relationship. The true test of the human heart of our relationship is how much are we willing to be generous towards God. So if we're not honoring God with our money, if we're not honoring God with our money, then what we tend to do is we tend to be kind of floundering around and struggling in our relationship with God. And so God, through the prophet Malachi, is calling out to us saying, let's respond to this. Let's respond to this. Now, before we get into this, we get into the deliberate practice today that we're going to talk about towards consistent giving. There's a more fundamental truth that we have to understand. There's this fundamental truth that God has made a world. God has made the world in such a way that His grace abounds to all people. The sun shines. Every day the sun shines and the land produces. There's water to drink. There's air to breathe. There's food to eat. This is God's radical gift to the human race, that He's created this amazing planet that produces life that can sustain us. Psalm 24 verse 1 says it this way. It says, "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof." The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything belongs to the fullness of the earth. It belongs to God. It is God's. It's all His. And in God's grace, He provides for the righteous and the unrighteous, for those who do good and those who do evil. He is so generous, so kind, so gracious. Every day, He provides for all people, indiscriminately. That's how loving and how kind and how generous God is. Now, that generosity has a time period to it, of course. That's the point of the afterlife, is how you live now really affects how what's going to happen to you in the afterlife. The Bible says that over and over and over again. But in this life, we see God's common grace, God's common blessing, that He owns everything and He shares it. He pours it out across the whole earth or across the whole world. And what this shows to us is that if it's all God's and He legitimately gives stuff to us, gives resource to us and wealth to us and blessing to us, then technically, if we're not generous back to God, if we don't return back to God what He's given of us, and we're called to return back to Him some of what is given to us, then technically we're actually stealing from God.
When you like and subscribe, this video reaches more people.